Hello and welcome to Excel Highway. In today's video I will share with you how to create a staff automatic booking file using Excel. You will be able to feed the file your requirements, how many people are needed per day, shift, and position. You will also define the people constraints. Who's not working next week? Who doesn't work the morning shift tomorrow? And so on. After building your parameters, you can click a button and you will receive a weekly shift schedule for your business within a couple of minutes. If a solution was not found, you will see red cells indicating you need to manually adjust something and try again. If this sounds interesting to you, stick around and I will walk you through how I did it. This video is sponsored by Connecteam. Let's start with the shift requirement sheet. In this sheet you define the week to generate a schedule with this cell over here. If I change that, then the entire week will change and the day is showing over here. Column A is hidden, but that's just a column I use for a key, which is a combination of position and shift, and it's dragged all the way, so it should be okay with however many shifts and positions you have. And you can just add positions and dates from drop-down lists. They're coming from the database that exists here, which I'll show you. This is the model database. So these are the drop-downs. These are where it's coming from. And you control the database using the user forms that we'll see later on, that you can access from the booking status. So if you go over here and you click on model setup, you can, for example, click on new shift. So I can just say test and I will have that. What it will basically do, it will just add a shift over here and sort it. So we'll see how that works. But the key is that this is a hidden sheet and you can use the user form to change things around. So that's these two drop downs, and if you're not familiar on how to create a drop down list, it's very simple. We're going to use the offset function referencing the first cell. Rows means how many rows to go down. I don't want to go down. Columns, how many columns to the right. I do not want to go to the right. Height I do need, because that's going to give me the range. Going to use count A for the entire column, -1 because that's the header, and width is 1. So this will show me that list. I'm just going to take that formula and I'll do it over here. Go over here to data validation, settings, list, source, and that's it. So if I manually do something here, go over here, you see it already updated, and this will update as well. So that's how you can easily build a drop-down list if you're not familiar with that from another sheet, which is very dynamic. The name of the day, I'm using the text function, text, and that's what it's going to return. So text has a lot of options. You can return month, day, a lot of things. So look into that. It's a useful function. Once that sheet is ready, we can move to the next step or next sheet that we're going to talk about. This is the employee view sheet. This is basically a pivot table connected to a sheet called booked, which is also hidden. The booked sheet is the sheet that shows all the data, and it's connected to here, and whenever we make changes to the slicer, it will just change what we can see, and you can use that as a managerial view. Let's say you want to see just the cleaners. First of all, you want to understand how many you have and if someone's not working, etc., etc., so you can focus on a certain person, and as you have more weeks here, you could see more information. Today's video is sponsored by Connecteam. Connecteam is an app that simplifies all of your business operation management. It's a perfect solution to manage, train, and communicate with your non-desk employees. I want to show you how easy it is to build your team schedule using Connecteam. Simply go on the desktop to your job scheduling, access your schedule, and select the dates. You can always click on Show Today, it'll show you today. Now first things off, you can click on Actions and copy previous week, which is nice and easy, and you can start things off the right way. You can also clear the week. Okay, so I'll get things started and copy from previous week again, just to show you. And how do you add shifts? So when you click on a cell, which means the date and the person, you have the plus sign to generate a shift from scratch or use the templates. So if you click on that plus sign, you get all the options. You get the start and end date. You get an option to set this as a repeat shift, so you can set that up right here, which is very nice. The shift title, which job, Soup of the Day or Big Burger, the two restaurants that I have here in the example. The user, that is, you can add to that shift already, or you can enable users to claim this shift, meaning they can use the app and just select it as their shift. You can type a location like New York, for example. All right. You can add some notes, you can attach files, and you can also add shift tasks that will appear and are like mini checklists. But I really like to use the templates, and the templates is where you set up, you see I set up 4 different shifts for the 2 restaurants. One is for the cook, one is for the waiter cashier. These are small restaurants. So you have 2 different templates. To build a new template, you can click on this button, Add Template, and you can just start typing everything as I showed you before. Let's say host. This could be for the soup of the day, and in New York, and save as template, and that's it. I have another option ready. Okay, so now if I want to assign people using the templates, I can click on this button and just select another template. Now you can see here, maybe you didn't notice, but as I added another shift to this person, you can see this become red because I'm overbooking that person above the limit. I can also see it here in the conflicts. Sorry, not in the conflicts, but I can see it over here. Basically, when you set up your team in the settings, in the limitations, you have an option to set up the maximum hours per week, maximum number of shifts. So whenever that exceeds that number, you'll get these warning messages to make sure that you don't overbook someone. Of course, once you publish, people can see it on their schedule. Now, if I put someone double book him, then you would see this icon over here in conflicts, and it does show you now, it does show you that 2 overlapping shifts and also exceeding the limit and the weekly number of shifts. Okay, so that tells me I have to remove one of the shifts. All right, I can move it to here maybe and see that it's okay. Great. So that's pretty much how you can do it. At the end, you just publish, click on publish, and now you have the shifts with the people assigned to them, and you're ready to start your work week.
Here's how it looks like from your employee's perspective.
They can click on the notification bell and see new shifts being published. They'll get upcoming shifts over here. And they can also click on the job scheduling, where they can see a shift and accept or reject it. Take a look at the open tasks and start filling out the tasks as they filled out. I highly recommend you start using Connecteam for your daily operation. Use my affiliate link in the description. You can start now for free. The next sheet is the booking status sheet. The booking status sheet has a VBA code within it, so whenever you access the sheet, it does some changes around here. And this is the main sheet where you are supposed to spend most of your time. And the data that you see here is obviously pulled from other sheets. Let me just unhide. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt, cause issues. I'm sorry about that. Let me just show you what it looks like. So here again, I'm using offset as before. That's just going to give me this exact table A through C in a very easy way. So I don't need that anymore. And what I have over here, let me unhide that. So for each column of the date, where the date is showing the shift requirements, what you defined over here, I have a required, and you see the VBA code works, so it unhides everything. So you have a required column, a booked column, and the gap, which is the delta between them. And you can see that as I step into one of those cells, what I call the jumbotron over here, will also show me the information of, how many people were required, how many booked, and it should show the gap. Yeah, guess it's just a little small. Yeah. And the reason I use that instead of just keeping the columns is just, I think it's easier to see, because if you have all these columns, it just looks, you have to drag it, and I just think it looks better this way. Okay, and as you press, you can see the required and the booked. Let's just show you how the formulas are built. So for the required, I'm using index match to the shift requirements. Basically, I'm going to use that key in A, which is the combination of position and shift, and how it intersects with the date. So if you're not familiar with index match, it's a very simple, but it looks complicated function. So basically, index will return a value which is a combination of a row and a column that you can define. This is where I define the matrix itself, where it's going to look for the column number and row number. Then I'm going to use match to basically match B, 3, and C, and F1, which is the date over here. So essentially, every time I copy this to another column, I had to build it just once, and it will be amended to the right date and the right row, which is the right position and shift. So that's how you use index match. Very useful function. I think you should try it out if you're not familiar with that. Again, match will return a dynamic row, and the second match will return a dynamic column. The booked column, that's a simple count ifs. I'm looking in the booked. Don't know something here with the headers, but this is supposed to be date, position, shift, and name. I'm not sure why it was disappeared, but that's how it's supposed to look. So you have date, position, shift, and name, and basically it's just looking using count ifs. I'm going to look for all the rows where column A is the date, column B is the position, and column C is the shift. That's going to give me basically all those cases, and then I can just compare it using the gap D minus E, and that's what you see here. The last part that's interesting here is first of all the conditional formatting to generate those red cells. So If the cell value is greater than or smaller than 0, then I'm just going to color that cell. Where are you? Fill, sorry. Fill in red. So very simple double conditional formatting. And again, I just built it for one column, just copied it all over, and then it copied everything as well. What else is interesting here? This announcement will show you how long it took. Where is it? Okay, these sheets, these cells, sorry. This should be over here. So this is when the code runs to automate the booking. You'll get a start date and an end date, and as a result, the time it took to complete the macro. So it's simply the code will save the time when it started, this cell, and when it finished, and the gap between them times 24 times 60 converts it to minutes, and round comma 1 will just give it a nice number to visualize. Then I'm going to use that text function I talked about earlier to get the month name in a, let's say, the more characters, and the day. And finally, I'm going to concatenate this to generate dynamic text. So part of it is fixed, like last update. Concatenate the date. Char 10 will add a space. Another text. Concatenate AI, which is the time. Concatenate minutes, and that's how this is equal to AI1. That's how you get a dynamic text into a shape. That's also something that you can use, very useful. This one is not generated that way. This one is generated by VBA. Whenever I click a cell, this text changes to show you the gap versus required, and we'll see that soon enough how that is done. And go look at the code behind the booking status sheet and how it generates this automation of the cells and the Jumbotron. So I'm going to right click on it, view code, and just move it a bit just so we can see both. Hopefully that looks okay. All right, so this part says that whenever you activate the sheet, whenever you access it, I took the application screen updating false because it messed up my other part of the code. So first of all, I'm going to erase the text. So active sheet dot shapes rectangle 2 text frame character text blank. That's the text of the Jumbotron. Okay, this is rectangle 2. So first of all, I want to clear it. So whenever I access, I want to clear that text. I don't want it to keep the previous selection. The next thing I want to do, I want to drag the formulas so I have the same number of rows as I have positions and shifts, because maybe something changed. Maybe now you planned more or less shifts. I just want to make sure I have everything. So I'm just going to copy from row 3. So first of all, I'm going to check how many rows I have in column B. I'm using this pre-built method that I've been using for years that I picked up online. That's how you can find the last row. Then I'm going to clear from D4 because I don't want to keep old lines. I want this to be clean. Then going from 3, which is all the formulas, I'm just going to copy, paste over there to 4 through the last row, which will eventually give me that updated table. Then I want to hide the columns that I don't want to see, and I build it into the code just so if I want to change things, I always have it nice and ready. So last column, that's another pre-built function that I found. That's going to give me the last column in a specific row, in this case on the first row, which is the row of the dates. and I'm going to have a loop that goes from 6, which is the first gap column, column F, that's 6. So from column 6 to the last column, step 3, meaning every time the next will jump 3 numbers, so next will be 9, 12, etc. First of all, I want to auto fit the column, so the gap. So if the name of the date is larger, then I want it to be visually nice. Then for columns uh, 1 and 2 to the left of it, so in this case columns 5 and 4, D and E, I want to hide them using entire column dot hidden dot true equals true. That's just going to hide the columns. And so this loop will run for 5 or 6 times until it reaches the last date. So 7 actually. Application cut copy mode equals false. That's going to eliminate whenever you copy and paste. You have that area, so that's going to just eliminate that. So it's back to how it's supposed to. And then I'm going to select C1 just so it's back here and not after copying. Just, you see that part that was gone, that rectangle, and then I'm just selecting that part. So that's how this sheet is updated. And lastly, the code for updating the Jumbotron. So you have a worksheet selection change by val target as range. This is a fixed text for changes within the range. If selection count equals 1, that just makes sure that you're selecting something. If not, intersect target range. That is where you define the range of when you want the macro to run. So in this case, it's F3 through X15. That's the range of the table. So whenever that is the case, let's see what we got here. Whenever that is the case, what I want to happen is similar to here where we deleted the text. In this case, I want to take the cells, active cell row and column 2. Okay, that's going to give me the position. Underscore, that's just going to add more code to the same line with a space. Concatenate blank, concatenate cells, active cell rows, dot row slash, comma 3. That's going to give me the date, the shift, and then I want to add character 10, so that's going to give me a space, the text required, and the required, which is based on the active cell row, and 2 columns to the left. Booked will be 1 column to the left, and the gap would be the same column that you exist. And that's just going to give me what I see right now. In the Jumbotron, it gives me the position, space, shift, line break, number of people required, which is 2, number of people booked, and the gap, which is 2, which you already see here. That is what's happening here in the booking status sheet. All right, let's jump into the home button, and this is the main functionality within the file. And as you can see, there are 6 buttons here that you can use. Now, in the core, what I wanted to do here is to allow, on the one hand, the database with information, on the other hand, a simple and easy and error-proof user interface that you could use so that you make less mistakes. So basically think of it this way, with these buttons and the other user forms that you'll see, you'll be able to control all the other sheets without actually touching them and potentially, ruining something like deleting a column or something like that, which people sometimes do. Alright, this was the end of part 1 of the staff automatic booking file. I hope you found this content interesting, and if you did, please hit that like or subscribe button, and make sure to check out the next part, which will be coming up soon. Have a good day.